Hello everyone and a very good evening here to WOR PC Tier 4, where it's time for round 9 of the championship, a race where tonight finally the championship might be decided, or we're gonna wait another week. We'll be at Spielberg to find out how that's gonna turn out. I'll be your host for tonight. My name is Mitsky, and as per usual, joined here with me in the commentary box is Jivodar. How are you doing tonight, man?
Pretty good. One of my favorite tracks to begin with, so we're interested to see what those talented individuals can set in terms of lap times, especially in qualifying and then in the race. Obviously it's one of the highest speed circuits, I believe, because it's got three very long straights and seemingly long, and obviously you have three DRS zones on top of that. So yeah, it really does make for quite a lot of overtaking opportunities in the race. So if you don't quite get qualifying right, you still have a chance in the race. So yeah, we're looking to be one of the more exciting races of the season, in my opinion.
Definitely agree with that, and let's not keep you waiting and immediately go to our in-game view so we can see what is going on, because qualifying has just started. We'll give you a little bit more of an update before we see some flying spectators in the background on the championship standings. Tonight, as already mentioned, the champion can be crowned. We have two drivers battling it out. Of course, championship leader Dennis Langrock in the Williams, and we have Racing Bull's Oliver Nutt, who has only participated 4 times so far this season out of 8 races, but he's won all 4 of them, so he seems to be the man in form, Shivadar.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the championship is basically in the hands of Dennis Langrock and Oliver Knott, so it's up to them to battle it out. But so far, Dennis has got quite a big of a lead, and there's only 2 rounds left. I don't think Oliver has a chance. If Dennis just finishes a race, basically, he's gonna be a champion. I think he needs about 9 points, I think, to secure it. More like Oliver Knott, I think, needs like 9 points over Dennis to keep the championship in Brazil, and I just don't see that being very likely, considering Dennis has never finished a race outside the podium. So yeah.
Yeah, Dennis has been very consistent so far this season. Last week out, it was a race win for Knott in Canada. It was a 3rd place for Dennis Langrock, which meant that Oliver gained 10 points, now cutting the gap down to 34. So if he does the same thing tonight again, the gap will be 24 points, which means that the championship will not be decided just yet. So there's definitely an opportunity for Oliver to extend that championship fight onto a decider next week, but it can also be decided this week. And yeah, that highly depends on how well Langrock's going to do. We know Langrock is fairly strong here. It's Oliver Nutt's at the fastest lap so far, 2/10 quicker than Langrock. But yeah, he definitely needs to bring his A game, Oliver Nutt. Otherwise, it could be over quite soon. As Sam Arling, one of the newer drivers, at least I haven't seen him before, one of the reserve drivers, just at the fastest lap time, just 200s quicker than Oliver Nutt.
Yeah, honestly, I think the championship is pretty much in Dennis's hands this race. If he can just keep it on the track in the race and not get a penalty, he's one of the faster drivers usually in quali as well. And then on top of that, he's very consistent in race streams. So I think he's got that championship almost secured at this point. But you never know. One incident and the championship could be back on. So, yeah.
Yeah, as always, things can change in the blink of an eye. We're currently watching Takubi go around turn 10. Your final corner going quite wide with a little slide. Let's keep it within track limits. And comes across in a 103.4, which currently is quick enough for a P3. Meow is now making his way to the end of the 2nd sector. It's about a 10th down on what Takubi was able to do, but I think he can gain a little bit in that final sector through Rind and the Red Bull Mobile Curve. Let's see, first 9, it's always so flat. It's so lovely to... Oh, that's an interesting abort from Meow all the way through the grass. It looks like he decided it was not worth finishing that lap time. On the other hand, Mr. Pike is currently starting his sector 159 is what you're going for. That's what he managed to do. And Herman Polyakov has just crossed the line, but I think that was a track limits warning or violation for him. So we'll watch Mr. Pike at least for now, see what he can do in his first run, if he can put himself in that top 5 for the time being.
Yeah, through turn 5, I believe that is. You went a little bit wide. You ideally want to go over that curb with your right-hand side tires. Through the end of sector 2, it's a 0.4 split, which is not that good. You'll put him about, I'd say, P5, P6. On for about a 0.6, I believe. And yeah, through the last 2 corners, flat for turn 9, and then one downshift in turn 10, and across the lines at 3.8, and it's only P8 for Mr. Pike, losing quite a lot in sector 2 and 3. And yeah, his first sector was pretty competitive, so he knows where the time is to find, definitely.
Yeah, we see in the meantime the Red Bull Jans Verdlich has just gone through in a 44-1 in that second sector, so it's already 3/10 quicker than we just saw Mr. Pike do. So he came down to 1:03.8. That was half a second off, but that is a track limit violation in turn 10. Too much curb on the inside. It would have been good enough for a P4, sorry. But yeah, track limits means you've got to go for it all again and go back into pit lane. I currently see a lot of clouds though further up ahead. I'm not sure if the drivers are anticipating any rain, but I see an awful lot of cars out there on track, so I wonder if that's going to come into play later. See if we are.
Probably not, I'd say, because it's still sunny out on track and they're only 11 minutes out. If it rains, it's gonna be probably right in the end, so drivers are just rushing to get a lap in. And obviously, it's the shortest track on the calendar, so 4 runs in quali are the meta, I'd say. So everyone's just trying to go as fast as possible to get those 4 runs in, and try to improve. If you do a mistake on your push lap, you can also abort, recharge that battery, and just go again next lap. You don't have to necessarily box. If you mess up a hot lap, you can go again on the same set, because it's such a short track. Tire was not really that big of a issue.
Yeah, talking about invalidations, we just saw Oliver not invalidate in turn 9. He was up 2.5 tenths on his own lap time, so there's definitely more in the tank for him as Langrock's up by about half a tenth. Could jump him at least a position, and he does jump to Kubi for the time being. And in the meantime, Sam has invalidated, so he won't be improving any further. But I am interested to see how Takubi will fare. Did not see his Sector 1 split, but he's currently making his way down towards turn 4 as Leonard Deckers goes quickest with a 1:03.2. That's a tenth and a half up on everyone else. We know Oliver Knott can go a little bit quicker than that, so maybe in his 3rd or 4th run we will see more, but I think Shivudar will be seeing low 1:03s today. Maybe a 0.1 or 0.0?
A 0.0, definitely. Paul, if it's a really good lap, could be a 2.9. Like a really high 2.9. I was racing with Langrock and Lennart Deckers last night in Austria. It was a German league, and yeah, I think Paul was about a 2.9, somewhere around that ish. So yeah, I think Paul is gonna be either a really high 2 or a really low 3. So yeah, people can go quite a bit faster than this, I suppose. But not even half the session is gone by, so yeah, still a lot of runs to come through. And obviously, as the session goes on, the lap times are gonna drop significantly. Usually you try to just go for a safe initial lap just to, sort of build that confidence up. You want to have those valid laps just to sort of put you in a position to be able to push and, see that delta. If you see that you're green on the delta, it just gives you a bit of confidence boost throughout your quali lap, and it does play a big role in how you do in terms of qualifying performance.
In the meantime, we are on board with Herman Polyakov, who's now making another attempt to set his first lap time on the board. So we just saw him go through the Niki Lauda curve and now making his way slowly up the hill towards Remus, which is 2 and 3. Just had 2. This is 3 hard right, hardest braking zone of the track. And is currently faring through nicely, although not getting the maximum exit speed that he would have wanted. Now he's going to go downhill into Schlosskol. This is one of the hardest points of the track because it's so easy to overshoot. We see Herman slightly overshoot turn 4 as he's now going back towards 5 and 6. That's Rauk. Here he goes through nicely. End of this sector, he's at a 44.5. Not quick enough for the top lap times. As through 7 and 8 Worth. And now it's just 2 left to go. Rindt and the Red Bull Mobile curve, as we talked about before. Keeps it through at high speed. Does leave an awful lot of space on the inside. But looks like he's just driving it safe and sound for now. So he gets a time on the board. He does put one on the board for P13. But there's definitely more in the tank for Herman Polyakov later on.
Yeah, definitely saw him go wide in turn 4. Turn 4 is a really tricky one because you're braking downhill. So when you think you're gonna carry enough speed to sort of stop it in time and get the apex right, because it's downhill, the car actually decelerates slower, so you end up carrying more speed than you can take, and it's really tricky to get that right. And if you don't, you're gonna end up wide, and it will easily cost you a 10 for 2, which in such a short track is a mountain to climb in the span of the other 9 corners on the track. And considering a big part of the track is flat out, one mistake and your quali run is essentially over. You really can't do any mistake, or else you're gonna lose a majority of the time that you could have gained potentially. So yeah, it's one of the hardest tracks on track limits as well. You know, you got those turn 9 and 10 that on this game, turn 9 is completely flat, but sort of flat, consider. It depends on your setup, but it should be almost flat. In turn 10, you're really playing with the track limits. And if you get that wrong, oh my, what a lap from Oliver Notby. Meanwhile, 3.0, exactly what I predicted. And with 6 minutes on the clock, we'll see if anyone can set a lap under 103, potentially a 2.8 maybe.
In the league that you spoke about, Paul, yesterday was a 103.0. So we are right about that time now with a 103.0 from Oliver Nutt. So about the same time. So we're now spectating Takubi. But what I found interesting about Oliver Nutt's run, he was about 2.5 tenths up in the second sector. But he gained a whole tenth in that final sector, showing he really nailed that one. So I'm not sure if it will be very easy for Oliver to improve on that fourth and final run for him, as we currently see Takubi being 2 thousandths down through the second sector, and he invalidates actually out of turn 7. Leonard Decker is currently quicker. He's about a tenth and a half quicker, so he's right around the time that Oliver Nutt is at. But interesting for Leonard, he can go a bit quicker in the first sector than the other drivers, 15.8. So it looks like that might be the key to his lap as he throws it in super aggressive. Loses front wing there, but that was maximum attack from Leonard. And unfortunately, it backfires for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think on this Delta, even if he did improve, it would not have been enough to beat Oliver Nutt's lap time. So I guess he kind of had to full send, and you have time to essentially go for one more in the end. Front wing damage gets instantly repaired in the pits in quali, so that's not really a factor. And yeah, full risk, high reward, especially in the last 2 corners, as you can really push the track limits quite a bit. But yeah, surprisingly so far in quali, Dennis Langrock has invalidated his 3rd lap and he's sitting on a 3.4. Yesterday he did a 0.14, so definitely 3 or more attempts in the tank for Dennis Langrock, and the pressure is on because there's only one run left for everyone, and if you don't improve, you're gonna be on the back foot for the race, which on a track like this isn't particularly the worst of things, considering there could be a safety car or something to potentially mix up the order a bit. But yeah, so far it doesn't really look all that comfortable for Dennis Langrock.
No, we're seeing time and time again how crucial those track limits are. Mr. Pike was on for quite a good run, improvement of 3 tenths, but invalidated through turn 9. So he is still on P13. Herman Polyakov, in the meantime, is up by about 2 tenths, but looks like he is going to abort his lap time because he knows he can still gain more. It's a little risk that he takes, but I think it's a safe risk to take given that he is already 14, so the worst that can happen is that he loses another place. And the best, of course, that he can gain enough place because he was on for an improvement, probably would be around the 10th place mark. Those drivers are going to do another run. You're not going to gain all that much, so might as well go into the pit and try again later. So we're currently watching all the drivers leave pit lane. At least a couple of them. Looks like Alberto Barros will be the first one out, so we're going to be spectating him for a little bit. As for Gregory Russell, he was a driver that we were missing so far in qualifying session. Had some problem with his game files. They do seem to work now as of 4 minutes ago, so hopefully we will see him participate in the race. He won't have enough time to do a qualifying run, sadly, if he joins within a second or two, but hopefully we can at least see him during the race. As for 8 F1er, just to let you know a little bit about the standings that we had last week, the ones that are important for us, was a race win for Oliver Knott. Second place went to Takubi, and third place went to championship leader Dennis Langrock. Means Langrock now has a 34-point lead over Oliver Knott, meaning that if Oliver Knott wins the race, Langrock will not be champion if he doesn't finish in second. If Oliver Knott cannot gain 9 points or more on Langrock, then Langrock will be the champion tonight.
Yeah, as you currently see Alberto Barros into turn 1 just before the 50 meters down to 4th, and on the exit burned to about 70%, and towards the end of the first sector it's a 15.976, so he's found a 10th and a half through that first sector, and it is a pretty nice first sector, but the time would only really get him into P10 so far, so he really needs to find a bit more of an improvement if he wants to break into that top 10 so far. Through turn 4, nice on the power, great rotation. Through 5 and 6, it's a 44.1, so he's found another 10th and a half, and that is almost 3.5 tenths up for Alberto Barros, and so far it's been a great lap from him. Through the last 2 corners, flat through 9, downshift to 5th through 10, a little bit of a slide on the exit, but across the line he's a 3.4, barely gets into a top 10, but everyone else is gonna improve as well.
We're now going to see how that is all going to come together as we're watching Oliver Knott, who just hit a purple in that first sector. We just see a Ferrari respawn on the track of Giovanni Galeotto, because I currently did not see him. But he should be on for a run as well. Everyone currently out. The flag is out as well. So this lap is the one where it has to count. And Oliver Knott knows there's quite a few drivers out there that can still beat him. In the names of Sam Arling, Leonard Deckers, and we definitely shouldn't count out championship leader Dennis Langrock. But look at that. Almost a 10th up, and Oliver Knott goes off the track in turn 7 and 8. He was on for a 102.9. More drivers are now coming across the line. Sam has already quit. Leonard Deckers is up by 2 tenths. This could be our pole lap. Will it be a pole for the Aston Martin driver? He invalidates in turn 10, so he won't do it. He would have been fast enough, but it's no pole for him. Joel Lindstrom has invalidated. Meow then, is he still on? He is down. Dennis Langrock then, can he steal it away in the dying moments of qualifying? He's too slow as well. It is pole position for Oliver Knott, because Alberto Barros won't improve either. Mr. Pike is the last one out. He's going to come across the line, will go to 11th, but that's qualifying for you. A few drivers could have done it. Nobody did improve, at least on the top end. And it's pole position once more for Oliver Knott.
Yeah, great lap there from Oliver Knott. And yeah, really unlucky for Leonard Deckers. He was on for provisional pole and just invalidated in the last corner. I guess it's one of the trickiest last corners on the entire game, up there with Canada, the round before, and yeah, it's really tricky to nail it on the verge of track limits. And also, one thing, am I going crazy, or did Dennis Langrock go slower? I'm pretty
He
sure
did
he said
improve. He improved by about a tenth, but he's still in P9, so that's not good for a
Oh.
championship leader. But it's great news for Oliver Knott, who wants to keep that fight alive. We'll quickly take you through the top 10 with Oliver Knott, Seb Arling, Leonard Deckers, Joel Lindstrom to could be your top 5. And there's Giovanni Galeotto, Jan Swerlik, Miao, Dennis Langrock, and Alberto Barros. And then the other drivers will find themselves outside that top 10. But we've seen a pretty good qualifying session here. But I was expecting some improvements in that final run, Givadar.
Yeah, definitely, but it's one of the trickiest tracks to get right because of the track limits. So yeah, it's potentially one of the more dangerous circuits to drive in quali because it's so easy to invalidate, and I guess it happens. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. It's okay. Points are distributed in the race. That's all I can say. No matter where you qualify.
That is definitely the case, but also in the race they will need to watch out because there are an awful lot of laps that you need to keep it between those white lines, and it's very easy to overstep just 3 times and you've got time penalty to your name, and that might already put you out of contention of a race win here tonight because we expect the drivers to be all so close to one another. Stay within DRS window, just have a lot of DRS trains, and in the last few laps everything is going to kick off. And in the meantime, you hear a little bit of racing in the background. We're waiting for the drivers to restart before we can get ready for the race. So that means we have a few minutes to still talk about strategy and about the championship. Championship, I think we already talked about enough, Shivudar. But what do you think is going to happen strategy-wise tonight?
As per usual, hard medium. That's about it. I think about lap 20 is the pit window for the medium compound to make it comfortably to the end. And yeah, I think medium hard can work, but it's gonna require someone else to go on the same strategy because DRS on this track is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there's 3 DRS zones, so it's really key that you stay within that window, and maybe safety car can change a few things, but yeah, I think I agree with you. The easiest way is just go with your standard strategy. Just go hard mediums, stop around lap 20, and then if nothing crazy happens, you'll be safe and sound. But we do have 16 drivers, a little bit more than we had the last few weeks. So do you think there's going to be any safety cars, Jupiter?
Probably not. I think the track is a little bit... I mean, the walls are not that far off, but it's gonna require a decent bit of... How do I say this nicely? Bad racecraft to cause a safety car, not gonna lie.
We're going to find out in a little moment as soon as the lobbies fully restart. Anticipate for about 4 to 5 minutes until we can get ready for that. We're going to do another zoom in though on the championship, or at least how that came to be as we stand now. Because as we already mentioned, we are currently down to just 2 drivers with 2 races to go. There we go, now I have the standings. So after all the races we've had, the 8 races, the standings are as follows. Langrock is leading the championship with 129 points. Say that right? I think there's something wrong with the... No, should be fine. No, sorry, 134 points. He's leading the championship, and Oliver Knott is in second with exactly 100 points. Langrock's won 2 races so far, 3 races he finished on in second, 2 races on the podium, and then there was this one-off that he had in round 3 where he finished at P15. For Oliver Knott, out of the 8 races, he only participated in 4, and we have 100 points. I think we can all guess what he did. A race win in round 3, round 5 at Zandvoort, China round 7, and last week out in Canada he also won the race, and it looks like tonight He seems poised to take another race win, and if he does do so tonight, he keeps that championship fight alive for next week when we go to Interlagos in Brazil. The other drivers are now out for contention. For Miao, he is more than 50 points away. Same goes for Kevin West, Bikarchi, Takubi, and all the others. So it's a two-man fight, but with a 34-point gap. It'll be very tough for Oliver not to still beat Dennis Langrock. But given the qualifying session that we had, if it finishes the way that it currently stands, Shivodar, that gap from 34 points is going to come down to 12. And then, 11 even, to 11. And then we suddenly have a whole different championship fight in our hands. Do you think Langrock's going to finish 9th or better? Or how do you think the championship is going to look like after this race?
I don't want to be boring, but I sort of have to be. I think Dennis will win the championship here. No matter where he qualifies, he's never finished outside the podium. Why would the case be different this time, right? The only time that Dennis didn't finish on the podium was the race that he didn't even finish. He got DNF'd on lap 25 in Las Vegas. So yeah, he has been twice on the top step of the podium, 3 times in P2 and then twice in P3. So why would he not finish on the podium? We've seen him do a good race from further from 8th on the grid once. I think in where was his worst qualifying? Was it? I think it was Netherlands, right?
Could be, yeah. It was a race that Oliver not won as well. And we do see Langrock usually being stronger in the race than he is in qualifying. If he does finish on the podium, he's going to put himself in a very nice seat. If he finishes 2nd, whatever happens, he will be a championship winner. So first or 2nd, he will win it regardless of whatever happens. If he finishes 3rd, then Oliver Knott has to win, but then also the gap will be 24 points with 25 still to be handed out. So he's in a very, very good spot here, but he will need to finish, I'd say, at least top 5 to put himself in a nice and sweet spot. But to be honest with you, Zubadar, I don't think the championship is going to be decided tonight. I think Oliver is going to be able to push it to next week and have a season finale in Interlagos. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, but then there's also, like, even if he goes to Interlagos, the gap would still be about 20 points, right?
I agree.
Like, then he basically has to just finish a race and he'll be champion. He doesn't even need to push that hard. Well, of course, it does depend on his performance here in the race, which will be revealed in a couple of minutes for the start. And the race should be over in about 50 minutes, I'd say. So yeah, we'll know if we have a champion tonight in roughly an hour. But the boring option is obviously saying that he wouldn't go to Brazil. But how can you not bet on Dennis finishing outside finishing on the podium? He's never finished a race outside the podium. Does it really make sense to bet that he wouldn't finish tonight? He's gone basically 8 for 8, I'd say. Well, technically 7, but that incident in Vegas wasn't really his fault. So yeah, Oliver has won every race he's participated, so of course he's a big challenger. He also did the PSGL sign-ups and he got into, I believe, F3, which is ridiculously quick. So yeah, these two really are gonna battle out hard, and in terms of strategy, it could also be a very interesting race, and comebacks are certainly possible, especially for the driver class like Dennis. He's usually quicker in the race than quali, so makes sense if he does good here. But the race will start in a couple of minutes. Maybe 2 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, we're currently loading into the race with all the drivers getting readied up. So just to take you through the grid real quick, we will have Jan Sverle, Kevin West, Miao, Elku, Takubi, Giovanni Galiotto, Nicolino, Joel Lindstrom, Oliver Knott, Dennis Langrock, Alberto Barros, Mr. Pike, Sam Orling, Leonard Deckers, and Herman Polyakov. Those 15 drivers, because I don't see Gregory Russell that we'll have participating tonight. You know what the standings are. You know where everyone is going to start in a moment. I'll quickly boot you over to our in-game screen so you can see that everything is currently being loaded as is and everyone can get their setups sorted. Just to give you a bit more info on the track we're racing tonight, it's the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, which is in Austria. It's 4.3 kilometers, 2.7 miles. It has 3 DRS zones. One's at the start-finish straight, one's after turn 1, and then the last one is after turn 3. There's a 65-meter change in elevation throughout the track, so that is quite a lot, especially given that the track is only about 63 seconds long, or a 103, as we saw, 103.0 be the pole lap time by Oliver Nutt, and him also being in the hunt to try and take that title to one more race to the season finale next week at Interlagos. Dennis Langrock has the most to gain, also the most to lose, but here we go with 4 and 5 red lights. And we're on our way very quickly off the line. The inside is Sam Arling, but should be enough for Oliver Nutt to just keep that. But then go side by side. Is Sam going to make a move? No, he decides against it. That means that we're immediately going to go to Dennis Langrock. He is in P9 for now, but I think he will dispatch his teammate very quickly as he's already on the inside of Meow. And it looks like he's safely made his way onto P8. He's going to try and outbreak someone very, very, very deep as he's close to Jan. Look, we already have a virtual safety car, so Langrock will need to hold position. But Nicolino already out of the race.
Yeah, I think he just got caught up in a bit of an incident.
Oh, Sam's leading! Sam's leading! He took the race lead from Oliver Nutt.
Yeah, in turn 1. Sam just went for the inside. Kevin has also... I think this might be a restart. I'm not sure. But, yeah, Kevin West...
What on earth just happened?
I have no idea.
We had a virtual safety car, and it looks like Kevin West was taken out by Herman.
I have no idea what happened there at the back, but even Kevin West saying in the chat, what the fuck just happened? I have no idea, mate. Well, Tehubi is into the pits meanwhile for a set of the hard compound of tires, but I have no idea what has happened. Why has... Okay, I don't know what happened with Herman. I think Herman took out Nicolino, but yeah, it's not looking too great in terms of Herman Polyakov's racecraft so far. Both of the DNFs are accusing him of taking them out, so yeah, it's not looking too great in terms of his race. Meanwhile, Samuel Ling did take the lead in turn 1 from Oliver Nutt. Leonard did keep his P3. Joel kept his P4. Giovanni in P5 and Jan in P6. The TTM teammates have meanwhile switched positions somehow, even though there was a VSC. I don't know how that happened, but whatever.
It was just before. It was in turn 3.
I know, but the VSC was in turn 3.
It was just after. Langrock had just completed the move, moving into P3, was side by side with Jan, but then the virtual safety car was called, so he couldn't go for another overtake. But looks like Langrock has a little bit more pace than the Red Bull driver up ahead, so we'll see that happen in a moment. You were right so far. Likely not going to see a safety car. Virtual safety car, of course, not included.
No, it is a full safety car.
It is a full safety car now.
Yeah, you can see the safety car's lead.
Oh yeah, but I still have the nose as a virtual safety car. Okay, the game keeps confusing me more and more, but we do have a full safety car. After that second incident with Kevin West was starting to get confused already. And it looks like Alberto Barros and Herman Polyakov have come in once more. I'm not entirely sure what that's for. Looks like they want to swap and make sure that they have gone in full sync with the tire regulations. I think they started on the hards, went for mediums 1, and now going to try and finish it out on the hards, which I believe Mr. Pike and Takubi already are going to do because they are on hards.
Yeah.
And let's actually go to our full tires so we can see. Most of the drivers started on the hards. Kevin West and Nicolino started on mediums, but they're out. And then the drivers from 10th down, so Takubi, Mr. Pag, Alberto Barros, and Herman, they are all on Newhart, so they are done when it comes to making pit stops. Top 9 still has to make one, but I think for the drivers, especially up ahead, it should be a little bit of an easier race for them, because I think they'll have a little bit of extra pace still having to pit stop. It looks like safety car's going to come in soon.
Yeah, in terms of strategy, I don't really get what the people at the back did. Like, they went, obviously, Tehubi and Mr. Pike did start on the mediums, so did Alberto Barros. I think all of them actually started on the mediums, and then switched to hards. But the problem is, they gotta make it 33 laps on Austria to the end. They are not gonna make another pit stop most likely, and I don't see that happening anytime. It will be close, but they might get punches in the end. Meanwhile though, Sam Erling, beautiful restart, 4/10 clear of Oliver Knott, who's another 4/10 clear of Leonard, and so far on the restart, it's all smooth sailing for Sam Erling.
Yeah, it's looking good for him so far. He chose the right moment to go on full throttle, because it left no space for Oliver not to even think about making a move on him. As further down the line, the gaps are at least big enough so that nobody can just go for a move quite yet. Well, it looks like Langrock is getting closer to Jan Sverlik. I don't think he's going to try and make a move just yet, but let's go on board with our championship leader, who really wants to make a move onto Jan, as he is eyeing to get further and further up. We know that as it stands now, with 9 points clear, a P5 would be enough for him to seal the deal. And that is just 2 positions away. But for Oliver Knott, if he just gets up one more, then Dennis suddenly doesn't need to finish 5th, but needs to finish all the way up in 2nd. That's how quick it can go. But I think Langrock will be eyeing to get a few positions up, and then it's just going to relax, let the chaos unfold, and in the final few laps resume that hunt.
Yeah, obviously it's only lap 5, and then 4 of those laps were on the safety car, so there's no need to essentially risk your entire race, risk getting wing damage. And just as I say that, Leonard Decker's up the inside of Oliver Knott, trying to get into P2. Oliver trying to come back at him, and is Sam Erling gonna fall a victim of the DRS? He tries to keep it around the outside, a little bit of wheel spin from Leonard Deckers, and he doesn't manage to do it. Oliver trying to hang around the outside of Leonard through turn 6 into 7, and it looks like he has made that move stick around the outside, and he is through into P2. Beautiful move around the outside of Leonard Deckers.
That was a very interesting angle that we were given from spectator, from Leonard Decker's left front wing. We saw that move from Oliver Knott, well, barely happen, but Oliver in the meantime awfully close to the back of Sam Erling. It looks like here on the straight he will want to dispatch him and take that race lead back for the moment. As we see, Dennis Langrock has also gone past Jan Sverling and is currently in P6. And here goes Leonard Deckers as well, round the inside. They're still side by side actually with Sam, as Langrock has now lost a position, with Giovanni Galeotto moving up a few places. Langrock's actually gone down to P8 now, so he's lost quite a bit. Kjell Lindstrom is fighting tooth and nail, and that was almost contact with Leonard Decker and Oliver Knott. We saw a big swoop coming out from Oliver. He's now on the outside line again. I wonder if Oliver Knott has sustained any damage there. They still go side by side through 7 and 8. And it looks like he keeps the lead for now. The car looks to be in one piece as well, so that's good news for him. But look at that. Top 4 caught within 3/10 of one another. Sam Erling goes side by side with Leonard Deckers, takes over P2. And now Giovanni will be ready to pounce. He's already on the inside line of that Aston Martin. Will want to outbrake him in turn 1, but decides against it. Probably a wise decision with everyone being so close. You want to have a great run out to turn 3, and perhaps you can take 1, 2, if not 3 drivers here. Giovanni's going to go for it. We'll have to go around the outside. He's stuck there. He will have to wait. There's contact. And it looks like Giovanni pushes Sam Erling just a little bit there. He then gets into the back of Oliver Knott. Oliver stays clean of everything, But it looks like Sam Arling has sustained some front wing damage there. And again, they go almost 3 wide into here. Leonard is on the inside, but round the outside, the safe moves come through. And your new race leader is Giovanni Galeotto.
Yeah, great moves from Giovanni there. Just really, really nice time picking. You know, he really just let the chaos unfold and just saw the right timing to go for a move. And this is what happens when you have a good racecraft and you obviously see those types of moves. You know, you see when to go and when to hold back. And so far, it's worked out beautifully from him. He has gained, I believe, 5 places. He started 6. He's now leading the race. And he looks pretty comfortably in the scarlet red Ferrari. He's gonna wanna make him proud tonight, especially considering he is an Italian driving for Ferrari, so kind of thematic, right? Makes sense. And Lena Deckers goes up the inside. Oh, what a move from Giovanni there on the grass. Up the around the outside, sorry, on Lena Deckers, on through the grass, an Alex Albon type of move, and it is a great move to take back the lead. And yeah, everyone has, I believe, drained the battery. So through this lap, they are gonna recharge and go at it again. Simon Polyakov, first driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty on lap 8 out of 36. As Oliver not goes wide on the exit of turn 9, and that is gonna be a warning from him, I think. And you really can't make those sort of mistakes at this stage because the race is so long and the track limits are really, really important to be obeyed. Otherwise, a 3-second penalty in such a short DRS straight is gonna really drop you far down, and it's not looking great from him.
Well, realistically, if Oliver Knott picks up a track limit violation here tonight, a 3-second time penalty would end his hopes for the championship, unless, of course, Langrock ends up not finishing. But Langrock has currently made his way up into P4 already, although we do see race lead retaken by Oliver Knott. Certainly risky move into turn 4 onto Giovanni Galeotto, but it pays off nicely, no damage for him sustained, and he resumes the lead of that pack for now, as the gap only starts to widen up out at P7 with Sam Arling. But I think Sam is, yeah, he's missing a front wing end plate on that left-hand side from the driver view. So he will struggle a little bit with that. Does stay within range and within reach of all the other drivers for now. But the question remains with when the pit stops do commence, if he is going to change that front wing or if he's going to keep it as is. For now, it seems to be all smooth sailing. As down the inside, Giovanni Galeotto comes, but look at that. 3 drivers try to go for the overtake. Langrock really has to watch out there because there were some drivers trying to go for some moves on him. Have he decided to back out on the move onto Oliver Knott? He's now still in P4. Oliver Knott is down to 3rd. And it looks like top 3 will resume at least in turn 4. No further overtakes. But so far, Givardar, we've seen a very entertaining race with a lot of overtakes.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is Austria for you. There's a reason this is almost a fan favorite, because also you have those 3 very long straights with triple DRS. Those that really encourages overtaking, and you know, when the track is so short and everyone is so close to each other, moves are really possible, and it makes for a great entertaining, especially considering the level of drivers here is pretty equal. So, you know, everyone is basically with the pace of the leaders, I'd say. So, you know, anyone can win this if he has a bit of luck. And yeah, so far he has looked great from everyone at the front. Unlucky for Sam Arling, as he was leading. Sadly, he got wing damage. He got caught up in those incidents, and yeah, you can't really do much about it. It's luck. Sometimes it happens. Nothing you can do about it. Just hope that eventually you're gonna have your race. I'm speaking from experience. Just be patient and your time will come eventually.
Well, at the moment he's been overtaken by 2 drivers already this lap. Sam now in P10. after both of the kick salvers have gone him on this lap. Takubi already got him on the previous lap. He actually made his way up to P7 after that early pit stop from him. He is the first driver that does not have to make any pit stop anymore. Mr. Pike's the second. And then Alberto Barros, Herman Polyakov, and now Jan Sverdlik, who's in pits, but he's going to go for a second one. He's actually retired from the race, saying that it's wise not to continue anymore. So that is DNF in pit lane. Just see yellow flags as a result, but nothing to worry about. The same thing goes for the safety car. It might show safety car on the screen, but we currently do not have a safety car as we're racing at full speed with Giovanni Galeotto only 2/10 away from race leader Leonard Deckers. But it looks like the top four is more or less starting to stay intact for now. I wonder if Takubi's going to make his way up the order a little bit more, but I think Langrock in particular, he just wants to stay put for now. He knows P4 is quite nice, and he can go for some position improvements down the latter end of the race.
Yeah, but there's also everyone at the back, like Tehubi, Mr. Pike, Herman Polyakov, and Alberto Barros. They already made their pit stops under the safety car, so they're not gonna box again, unlike everyone else. They're gonna bear it till the end on those hard compound tires, which is gonna be a big stretch, because essentially doing almost the entire race on one set.
And Langrock is ahead! Oliver Knott has a time penalty as well, because he was pushed wide there a little bit. Langrock just went from 4th to 1st. Leonard Deckers went all the way down the order. I don't think Langrock is going to be fighting this much. Oliver Knott now knows he has to go in full swing, but that 3-second could be the end to a championship fight that we still had after all the massive effort Oliver Knott has put in so far. This would also mean the end to his streak of winning every race he's participated in so far. But looks like those 3 seconds might be the end of it. And with Langrock now also leading the race, it looks like things are starting to brighten up for him.
Yeah, but it's not all that bad for Oliver Knott. I think he will get that penalty removed. As did get pushed off in turn 3, so yeah, it's not over yet. He can get that penalty removed, but because it was his 3rd warning that he got it on, he does not have any warnings to spare. So he's gonna have to do 22 laps with no warnings, or else his championship is basically over. Meanwhile though, Dennis Langrock, 8 positions up this race so far, and he's leading from 9th place on the grid. If you predict he's gonna do good in a race, you can't ever go wrong. But yeah, we see a big scrap here for the podium positions with Giovanni and Leonard so far. Leonard's trying to go up the inside of turn 6, not quite. Managed to stick it in the inside, and he's gonna try and get himself up into the podium positions in the next lap, as everyone is just recharging batteries now. You see when the red light at the on the backside of the car is flashing, that means they're either under 10%, or most likely in races like this they are just using the non-ERS mode, so they are just recharging and not really deploying any of the overtaking electrical power that they have. I believe when you put the overtake button, it gives you 160 horsepower over the normal ERS usage, which is medium. So yeah, it really makes for a great overtaking opportunity, especially in races like this where it's so close.
Yeah, we're just watching the onboard of Leonard Deckers, where I thought for a second it might end in tears, but he has managed to get past Giovanni. Takubi is now up in P6. Langrock now leads the race once more with Oliver not just behind him. But we see a lot of position changes throughout this race. Normally, everything just kicks off towards the last few laps. But it looks like these drivers have decided we're going to do that a bit sooner because there's a championship on our hands. But I really want to know how many warnings that Oliver Knott is going to be on, especially at the end of the race. I think that's something that you can check in for us as well later, Givudar. But for now, that is not our focus, as we're seeing if anyone's going to go for some moves here into turn 3. Looks like a very slow launch. There's contact, big contact, as Langrock gets tagged by Leonard Deckers. It looks like Giovanni Galeotto gets the worst end of that because he's now down in P12.
Yeah, really, really unlucky stuff there for Giovanni, and yeah, I just got caught up in that. And I was gonna say right before you started speaking, all this battling is eventually gonna end in tears for someone, and I might have just jinxed it for Giovanni there. Unlucky, unlucky chat. This is the commentator curse. You can't escape it.
Well, it's no curse if you don't say it out loud, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I actually, just as you said there to check warnings, I actually went to check it, and now I'm stuck on a random screen with the bugged race results, and I might need to rejoin. So you take the commentary for a little bit.
That is all fine, because we're still with the camera on Leonard Deckers, and it looks like Knott is going to stay ahead of Langrock, as Mr. Pike has just made a few positions. He's fighting hard with Meow, who's now gotten P7 back, at least for the time being. He's heavily defending that inside line as he's trying to make sure that Mr. Pike either goes round or just stays behind. It looks like he's staying behind for the time being. Jacoby's about 6/10 away from Joel Lindstrom. Maybe we'll see him move up the order a little bit more. Remember, he was on the podium last week out with a second place in Canada, so we can definitely expect a good result from him too. As Leonard Deckers, who we haven't seen that much this season, could also go and be quite up there with the guys. He's currently in P3 and he's been involved in quite a few nice battles. For Giovanni Galeotto, unfortunately, that will be the end of the race for him. I think he has a bit of damage. He's in P12. He has got 3 seconds to his name now with another track limit violation. So that really, really hurts for him. We saw him go for some aggressive and some daring moves, but looks like where he didn't go for a move, that was the moment where he got caught off guard and sustained some damage, losing all those positions, at least for now. In the meantime, want to keep an eye on Langrock and Oliver Knott, because it looks like Oliver Knott has just been overtaken by 2 drivers. Langrock is up in the lead. Leonard Deckers has gone the inside line. I think he's just going to stay ahead of Oliver Knott, and Oliver will just slot in behind safely in 3rd. Langrock with a big drift coming out of 5 and 6. But he keeps it together nicely there. Really needed to do that, because also for him, if he crashes out, then it's almost certain that the championship is moved to a season finale next week out. And with him not getting any points, seeing that Oliver Knott gets his penalty removed and wins the race, then the gap will only be 9 points, which is not a lot. But it looks like we're about to enter your pit stop window, because here comes Meow. He goes into the pit lane on those hards, so that means 17 laps on the mediums. Definitely doable, but he's the first one to head into pit lane for that. Leonard Deckers, in the meantime, has taken over the race lead. We'll have to spectate Meow and see what pace that he's got, because it looks like the front runners are doing about 106s. But we'll see at the end of this lap what exactly it's going to be. We're going to keep an eye on that and that Meow's lap time, because I think Meow might be a 2.5 quicker at those early stages. Although I will not be surprised if any of the top 5 runners is going to come in now. This seems to be one of the most ideal moments to hop in. Means I'm just checking with you, Sifrid. Are you able to get back in yet?
I am currently just loading in. I don't know why it takes so long to get in. It's not my PC, this is just the game optimization just not being there. I can't do much about it. So can you guys, and yeah. Luckily though, only took me about 5 minutes to load into the game for whatever reason. But finally, I am back.
Yes, you are back at one of the most crucial points, because both of our championship leaders and competitors have decided to move into pit lane. They have now completed their pit stop, and it looks like Langrock is ahead of Oliver Knott. And they will stay ahead, only just ahead of Meow. But it looks like Meow has gone past Oliver Knott. This is some great teamwork by the Williams drivers. But that desync has put him back behind Oliver Knott once more. So where it started to look good for a moment for Langrock, that now hope quickly fades away. But I want to see what lap time Meow is going to be able to do. Leonard Deckers just did a 106.9. I think Meow can at least go for a 105. But how quick that's going to be, especially with that desync, I do wonder. But looks like the drivers up ahead have significant overspeed. That gap was 13.5 seconds when Meow was leading it. And from Meow's point of view, that is now 11.5. So it looks like the medium runners are indeed quicker by about a second and a half, as we're now seeing them go through 9 and 10. Lindstrom, Leonard Deckers, and Takubi have actually come in. So Takubi's not going to go for a one-stopper, as he's high up enough already. And yeah, with a desync, not enough. So I think at this point, Givaudan, it's safe to say about 1.2, 1.3 that you'll be quicker on those new set of compounds.
Yeah, but now it's a question of, is Mr. Pike gonna try to work together with Alberto Barros? Because remember, they are probably not gonna stop again, in my opinion. And they have got roughly 14 seconds, 13, 14 seconds-ish to the leading net leaders of the race. So if they can just stick it around together and, you know, work together, swap around in the DRS for 15 more laps, and they could be looking for a phenomenal result here. But those mediums are closing in rapidly for the first few laps until they hit sort of a little bit of a drop-off zone, and until then they are gonna be gaining a scary amount of time to Giovanni Galeotto, who is only 4.5 seconds behind Mr. Pike and Alberto. But if they can just optimize their DRS usage, they might be able to stick it out for another 14 laps and maybe snatch a podium, or maybe even a win if they get lucky.
And just hearing calls that Mr. Pike might have front wing damage. It looks like he's indeed missing the front wing end plate on his left hand side, so will severely at least put back his pace for now. But it looks like the medium runners are about 2 seconds quicker per lap. They just did a 105.0. I think these drivers won't do much better than a 107. Takubi had a great outlet, but he's already 2 seconds away. Did not stay within the DRS window, so that will likely be the end of his fight for the race win. And with a 107.5, that's 2.5 seconds that Langrock, Not, and others will be quicker. Langrock is on for a really good run here. Look at that. It's going to come across in a 104.8. That is more than 2.5 seconds quicker than your race leaders. This is not sustainable for the guys still out on the hards. They will not be able to keep it. But look at that. Takubi and let's see, Sam Arling have picked up penalties. So for now, as Oliver Nutt retakes race lead, it looks like we have a 4-way fight for the race win tonight with Nutt, Langrock, Deckers, and Meow. But I think all things considered, Givaudan, that penalty from Oliver Nutt is going to be the end of it.
I mean, yeah, but if he doesn't get another warning, I think he might be able to get that removed with the steward in the steward's room later on, and maybe that is basically the only thing that is keeping his championship hopes alive at this point. And he doesn't have any mistake that he can make without losing the championship, basically. So whatever he does here basically is going to decide the championship, in my opinion.
And in the meantime, Giovanni Galeotto has come into pit lane. Looks like Oliver Nutt is trying to build a gap over onto Langrock. So I do think that he might have a warning too many as a result of that. I don't know if you can check in the meantime, Givaudan, how many warnings that he is on. If it's still on 3, then he indeed might get that penalty removed, or at least try to appeal for it. If he's picked up another one in the process, then it's very unlikely that a penalty will be overturned. But look at that, round the outside. It is Leonard Deckers who's trying to make a move, but for now he's still stuck behind Langrock.
Yeah, so far clean on warnings for Oliver Nutt, and he will be able to get that penalty removed. Still though, we have 1/3 of the race left, and with the way that I'm watching Oliver drive, it's a bit risky driving like this when you basically don't have a single warning to spare. But I guess that's kind of what you have to do if you want to win the race. You know, you got to catch 7 seconds, and on lap 25, Herman picks up another 3 seconds, and that is certainly going to put him out of contention for any points. But so far, 7 seconds is the gap, 11 laps to go, as Dennis just gets past Oliver Knott on the straight. Leonard trying to go up the inside of Oliver Knott, and he does make that move stick. Brilliant move from Leonard to get himself ahead of Oliver Knott, and that is a very, very welcome surprise for Dennis Langrock. Obviously, the two Germans are gonna try and work together a little bit, as they are on the friendlier side of each other, so I do believe Leonard is gonna try and help Dennis in the championship, so yeah, it kind of makes sense. But 6 seconds is now the gap to the leaders, and with 11 laps to go, it's not looking pretty. But obviously, with each lap, the mediums are gonna become less and less pace-worthy to catch back up. And as the laps go on, the hards will get faster and faster compared to the mediums. Although judging by the wear, I think even at the last lap, the mediums will still be the better tire choice.
Well, we will find out in a few laps as soon as that gap is going to close up more, with Leonard now retaking that P3 from Langrock, the virtual race lead, given that Pike and Barros come in. But I think indeed, as you mentioned, Givaudan, they will stay out for now. We do have the penalties in full swing on the screen right now. Herman Polyakov's on 9 seconds, 3 times that he's gone a penalty for track limits. All the other 4 drivers that have penalties only have 1 3-second to their name. Those are Oliver Knott, which we talked about before, might get that removed. And then it's Takui, Giovanni Galiotto, and Sam Erling, of which the last 2 both were involved in an incident, putting them so far back down the order, currently in 11 and 12, hoping for maybe a few points. But I think for that, they have to hope that Herman picks up another time penalty. As for Giovanni, it won't be easy to cut down that gap either. So, tough ask for the Ferrari and McLaren men. If we look further up ahead, though, the gap with Takubi and Miao still 3 seconds. That gap is now starting to stabilize a little bit, but still way too big. Leonard Deckers has just taken a 1.5 second chunk out of that gap towards Mr. Pike. It's now 3.3 seconds. So I think around lap 29 or 30, we will see them at the back of this pack and then overtake them moments later.
Yeah, but then again, I think Mr. Pike and Alberto are gonna try to work together a little bit to keep them behind. You know, if you are fighting and you go side by side, there isn't really enough room for the quicker guys behind you to get past. The only real overtaking option they have in the straight, and that is Elko in the grass, and that is his chance of points basically over. I did not see what happened with him. I watched it in the replay, but it's not looking great for Elko. A good race with decent points has just turned from a good race to absolute disaster. He's still got 1 point if he finishes like this, but he was definitely hoping for a lot more this race.
Well, after a penalty from Herman is applied, will even be molded up to 9th, so there's definitely still more in it for him. But he's now also got Giovanni and Sam that will be battling it out with him, as Joel Lindstrom has gotten past Sakubi, who also has a time penalty to his name. But yeah, that gap to Miao now 4.5 seconds really has increased. But look at that, Langrock has closed the gap onto Mr. Pike and Alberto Barros. So already in lap 28 they're at the back, and not even in 29. That's how fast they managed to close this gap. You can only imagine that now at lap 29, they're going to be flying past, because they will have much, much better exits, especially through 9 and 10. And then out of 1, we'll have a great run to try and pass 1, if not both of them. And it looks like Langrock is indeed eyeing that, because if he can dispatch them quickly, it might be an opportunity for him to build a gap over onto Oliver Knott if he can't clear them quickly enough. And then suddenly, Langrock is in a very good position. He will need to try and go for it now. Does not go for the double inside, so now has to go round the outside of Mr. Pike. Is pushed a little bit wide. He comes back out on track, but look at that. Now Oliver Knott is on the inside. Looks like that decision to go for the outside line didn't work out. Mr. Pike defending harshly. He's going to go try and go down the inside. But there goes Oliver Knott with a great exit out of 4. He's taken over the race lead. And this might be the break that Knott was waiting for. Because behind, Mr. Pike and Barrows are keeping everyone at bay. Meow has gone past Langrock too. So if Oliver Knott can build a gap now, he might be able to get enough of a gap that helps him later on down the race. Can he do this? Or will he be stuck with those drivers just behind him?
Yeah, those aging hard tires are really not working in their favor at this point. They are screaming. And with 6 more laps to go, I think Sam picks up another 3-second time penalty. And you know, with those 28-old hard tires, I don't think they are gonna have a chance to keep those podium positions for much longer. As Dennis goes up the inside of Alberto Barros, Meow's gonna try and fall in front. There's a bit of contact made on the straight, but I think Lennart Deckers around the outside he goes. Of everyone of the 3 cars around trying to get past Dennis Langrock, Willibert in the inside of 6 tries to go for that side by side. They go into turn 7 up the inside, and Lennart makes that move stick as Elko picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. And a great move from Lennart Deckers to see himself into the podium paying positions. And crucially, Mr. Pike with this wing damage has kept that P2, and he's kept the DRS to Oliver Knott. So Oliver will not be able to pull away from the other medium runners that are behind Mr. Pike. And this race is gonna get spicy for the end of the final 5 laps.
And it almost feels like Mr. Pike has been saving quite a bit of tires because he's not falling much behind Oliver Knott either. Let's go on board with him. Let's see how much ERS he's used. He's used quite a bit of it to try and stay behind, but he's at least trying to match Oliver Knott in pace there. I'm not sure if Oliver thinks I need to go later, or I need to go now, or when. Because for now, if the penalty is applied, he would be put down to P6. And yeah, Langrock will be 3rd as it stands now, and then championship is over if that penalty does go and work out. If the penalty does get removed, then it is enough to keep him in the championship fight. But I'm very surprised that Oliver Knott is not able to pull the gap on Mr. Pike, but perhaps he's not even trying to. If you go on board, well, he's actually using quite a bit of ERS, so that's not looking good for Oliver Knott at all. If we go to Lennart Deckers, he has slightly more over him. Langrock has a whole lot more. He is on about 60% now on the straight, as he wants to keep Meow behind. Mr. Pike gets awfully close to Oliver and is not going to go for a move onto him, but it just shows that Knott is not able to break it. Pike manages to stay in front of Deckers. He's defending tooth and nail now into the braking zone of 4. Maybe round the outside that Lennart Deckers is going to try and make a move, but he's just being pushed off Albons-wise. And he's now been pushed back to 4th, and Langrock just staying behind there. Now maybe another opportunity for Oliver Knott to try and break away.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Pike is doing wonders for Oliver Knott so far, gifting him another race win basically. And, you know, Mr. Pike is kind of acting like a buffer for Oliver Knott to the other medium runners. And as it currently stands, Oliver, I think, is purposely giving Mr. Pike DRS so he can defend from Lennart and Dennis and Meow, and in turn give him P2 in the race, and then for Oliver to sort of keep that race win after he gets that penalty removed. And yeah, but here goes Lennart Deckers up the inside of Mr. Pike. And yeah, Oliver Knott trying to slow him down because he just does not want them to get past Mr. Pike. But unfortunately, I think that is going to be Lennart Deckers into the lead of the race. Dennis Langrock trying... Oh, what a move. Almost collects them. And yeah, Mr. Pike goes balling in turn 4. Almost takes out Dennis and Lennart. But somehow, out of all that, Oliver Knott has still come out in the lead.
Yeah, that was a very, very late send from Mr. Pike. I think there will be some complaints about that one. But as a result, he
Again?
still stays in second. But look at the tire lives. Leonard Decker's on 12 lap old mediums. Langrock and Knotts 14 now. Mr. Pike 32 lap old hards. And he's still managing to more or less match the pace of all the other drivers, which is really, really astonishing. But now he surely must be overtaken by Langrock and Deckers. But look at that, Mr. Pike is trying to send it down the inside. Langrock's been pushed wide once more. This must be the moment where Oliver Knott tries to break away. He's got around the 1 second mark. Mr. Pike's finally been pushed back a few positions. Won't go for it again. Goes down the inside onto Meow. Side by side they go. There's almost a little bit of contact. But this is the moment with ERS that Meow can try and hold on to that P4. And he does finally manage. No, he goes wide. He goes wide and he's side by side still with Mr. Pike. He might have to yield here. They're still side by side. Meow gets a time penalty and Mr. Pike does not want to give up this position. There's more contact. Still side by side they go. Finally Meow has gone past. But crucially further up ahead, the gap between Oliver Knott and Leonard Deckers is 6/10. So he did not manage to break away that gap. If that penalty stands, Yvudar, this is it.
Yeah, but I do not think Oliver's gotten a warning yet. And yeah, Mr. Pike is definitely gonna have quite a few defensive maneuvers in the steward's room to explain, I think. You know, he just went bowling in turn 4. Almost took out basically the fastest drivers right here, right now on the mediums, and yeah, it's not looking too great in terms of his penalty points. And as it stands at the moment, Mr. Pike is gonna miss the last round because he's gonna have a race ban.
Well, we are going to hear about that once the full steward inquiries come to a halt. But we're now entering the final lap. 3 drivers are within DRS window of one another. Oliver Knott leads Leonard Deckers ahead of Dennis Langrock. This is lap 36 out of 36, so buckle up. We're about to get ready for a great last lap, in which the first overtaking move will be here for Leonard Deckers. You want to be ahead at the end of turn 4, but maybe make that move a little bit earlier. And it looks like Leonard is already soared by Oliver Knott, but crucially that means he won't have DRS at this second straight, and that will be the moment where Oliver Knott wants to strike back, and he indeed is going for it. A lot of ERSUs, round the outside he goes. There is crashing in the back, that's Mr. Pike who's causing a yellow flag. Sam Arlen gets another time penalty. It is Deckers who stays ahead of Langrock for a time being. Side by side they go. If Langrock can manage to make it stick, it doesn't matter. If Oliver Knott gets a penalty removed, he's a champion regardless. He's fighting so hard with all of his worth, and they're still side by side with 2 corners to go. Mr. Pike has been disqualified from the race even, but here we go then. Langrock is ahead. Langrock is ahead. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. He doesn't pick up a penalty. It doesn't matter if Oliver Knott gets it removed. Your champion of WOR PC Tier 4 is Dennis Langrock.
What a race, what a finish for Dennis Langrock. Congratulations, boy. You just won your first WOR PC Tier 4 championship. What a finish. What a race. Alberto Barros, meanwhile in P4, right in the end. What a race from him on those 35 lap old hards. And that is a race to remember for Dennis Langrock. Oliver Knott sadly will not make the championship fight go to Brazil, but I don't think it even matters at this point. All that matters is that it was a great race with great racing and a few incidents along the way.
Yeah, once again, it doesn't matter where Langrock starts. He started in P9, but he now wins the race here in Austria. His 3rd win of the season. Oliver Knott does say that he's trying to get a penalty removed, so maybe that P1 from Langrock will move to a P2, but does it matter for him? I don't think he cares whatsoever. The championship is in there for him unless he gets a penalty, but even if penalties are applied, well, actually, he might still... if there is a penalty for a move with Deckers, he could. I don't think there's anything that will be worth protesting. So as it stands now, I think it's fairly safe to say that Langrock has clinched the championship here tonight, round 9 in Austria. Meantime, Alberto Barros is really happy with all the moves coming from Mr. Pike, because that has just granted him a P4. He started 10th, he went for the early pit stop in that safety car in lap 1, and he still managed to finish in P4. Big congrats to him. That's a great result for him. But I think hats off to the man who's won the championship, Langrock, from 9th to 1st. That is a champion's drive.
Yeah, a champion worthy indeed. And yeah, I mean, there is a reason it's a champion worthy, right? He's a champion at the end of the day. So yeah, great race. And yeah, in terms of the stewarding inquiries now, Mr. Pike is, I believe, getting reported by about half the grid, more or less. So it will be interesting to see what happens with that. Well, I think it's pretty much guaranteed to say this, but Mr. Pike has not had a single race in Tier 4 where he has not been reported for any incidents. That is...
That's true. The last few races has been fairly tame for him. He's picked up 3 penalty points, I believe, in the last race, where it was due to a second time he didn't provide any footage. There was a consequence for that.
Yeah, there is.
Got moved.
So there we go. We have Oliver not in here. Finished P3 after that in-game penalty was applied. But I think the question that was on our minds already, can that penalty get removed?
I hope so. I think I got pushed off, but they might argue that because I got pushed off, but then I came back on, just took the corner as normal when I got past him. So whether he's gonna fight that to see if I don't get it removed, I don't know. But yeah, if I do get it removed, then 5 for 5, which is not bad.
That's indeed the case, and I think at this point it would mean that the only thing that's going to matter is that wonderful stat of yours stays intact, the 4 out of 4 heading into this race. For the championship, everything seems to be decided, because if Langrock finishes first or second, the gap is going to be more than 25 points, means that he is the champion.
Yeah. Yeah, he got P2, didn't he? If I get my panel removed.
Yeah.
So yeah, GG's. I mean, it's just annoying considering I've actually had quite a good season, but the difference in the races attended has made all the difference 100%. But I mean, he's also had a great season to him. He's also drove very well. So I mean, yeah, congrats.
Yeah, now if we go back to your qualifying session, of course you picked up pole position, but it felt like you were not too happy with it, because on that last round we saw, you were about a 10th up on your fastest lap time. What happened?
I turned in way too early, turn 7, and yeah, I just spun because it's just the worst line possible. So yeah, it was a bit annoying. I could have had a 0.9 there, would have been quite a nice lap considering I only just got on as well. But I mean, I still got pole, so it's not awful.
And then final question from me. Throughout the race, we saw a lot of battles. Was it enjoyable to have all those fights out there on track? Because it was a lot more than you'd usually see here in Austria.
Yeah, I was being maybe a bit too cautious at times and maybe braking a bit too early. But yeah, it was a bit scary. It wasn't scary, but like it was a bit like, ooh, this could happen, crash. This could be a crash or whatever, because there was so much going on. And then especially at the end as well, when we caught up to the hard runners and Mr. Pike doing Mr. Pike things. But I had no ERS, so I couldn't gap. But I mean, Oh well, I still won despite all of that. But I don't know. Interesting. He's probably gonna get a lot of penalties if he gets reported. That's all I'm gonna say.
Any questions from you, Givodar?
Mm, what do you think, Ollie, feels better? Having like 5 races and 5 wins, or just winning the championship, racing every race?
I think because I knew I wouldn't be able to win the championship, but I had a pretty good thought that I wouldn't be able to. I feel like the 100% win rate is definitely better. It's quite a nice statistic, winning every race that you do. So yeah, I would say that. I would say that's better. But as to whether I can get this pen removed or not, hopefully I can.
Yeah, I think if you win a race in the tier, it guarantees your promotion. But I'm not sure if it still works like that. I got promoted last game because
Yeah.
of 1 race win, so maybe it's how that works.
Not bad. But what tier were you?
Oh, I think I was like tier 6. I won like one random race and I was tier
Lovely.
5 last season. I don't know, man.
Nice.
Well, I think with
Oh,
your
well.
win rate, it's safe to say that we might see you in Tier 3 next season. Is that also what you're hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice. I feel like I'm doing quite well in there, so I mean, it'd be a nice challenge tier 3, that's for sure. Definitely a much better grid and a lot more quicker drivers. It'd be a really good challenge. So yeah, it'd be nice if I could get in there, maybe fight for some points, some races. But yeah, take me for that.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you very much for taking the time to be here in the interview box once more. We will hear, of course, next week if that penalty is going to be removed or not.
Yeah.
And then we'll know if your 5 out of 5 streak stays alive.
Thank you. Hopefully.
All right. Perhaps see you next week then.
All right, see you next week. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
All right, then let's move on to the guy that finished second after that penalty for not was applied. That is Leonard Deckers. He's a new face for us up there because he is one of our reserve drivers. But he's done a marvelous job and he immediately picks up a podium. Leonard Deckers is with us here in the interview box.
Seems a bit shy, no?
Hello.
There
hello.
he is.
Yeah, I had a
Welcome,
problem with
welcome.
my microphone. Yeah, thanks. It was a crazy race. Yeah, Mr. Pike was driving a little bit crazy, but in the end, I managed to get a podium. Yeah, it was. I never seen that. It was unbelievable, but yeah, podium is podium, so I take that.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice fight all the way through, especially the start of the race. You were already able to keep close. I believe you stopped 1 lap later than Langrock and Oliver Knott, wasn't it?
Yeah, my plan was to stop early, but then I realized, okay, there are no boxing. That wasn't ideal, but I managed to send the DRS after the stop, so it worked out fine.
Yeah, it
still a
worked
great
out
race.
very well in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Did you try and overtake Dennis in the last lap?
Yeah, but I had no battery and front wing damage, so that made it difficult. And in the end, I wasn't going for a dive because that would have been crazy, and I don't want to ruin Dennis's championship. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Since when did you have wing damage? I didn't notice that.
I think around about lap 32, 33. Because Mr. Pike
Oh,
dive bombed me in turn 4,
yeah.
and then yeah, it was
Yeah, we saw
not so
that.
nice.
Oh, it happens. How
Yeah.
many times do you reckon he's gonna get reported?
I think at least 5 times.
Well, he might actually not even get a race ban for next week. He might even get a season ban.
Yeah, that would be that would be very good.
Imagine he actually does it though. 60 penalty points in 10 races.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Any questions, Smith?
Yeah, I think for you, Leonard, this was the first race, at least I believe, maybe last week. I wasn't there, sadly. But you've come in swinging hot. Second place for you tonight. do you think there will be a chance that we'll see you more permanently in PC Tier 4 next season?
I think so. Yeah, it depends. How my motivation is to grind the F1 game, but I think I'll do some races.
That sounds great. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us in the interview box. And then we will move on to our last interview tonight. Perhaps we'll see you next week. If you're also participating in Brazil. And, of course, get a top 3 finish for the season finale. And otherwise, perhaps still next season.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, then let's move in. The man who's gone the race win after the penalty. After the penalty, it didn't even matter if the penalty is applied or not. Your champion, WOR PC Tier 14 Season 19, Dennis Langrock.
Hello. Nice to be back.
Nice to be back, but you must have been extremely nervous those 5 final laps.
I'm killed now. I was just hoping that I not get killed from this kick-over. That was crazy. I got.
Well, there was a lot going on throughout the race, but I think before we talk about the race, we should also go back to talk about qualifying. Not the best session that you've had so far with the P9. Was there more in the tank, or how did quali go for you?
No, 100% was more in the tank. I don't know what was wrong. Yesterday I was very good. I had another leak, but today I don't know what happened. Just don't feel comfortable with the car exactly at turn 1, and yeah, but still won this race, so it's okay.
Yeah, it was a great race, all things considered. You went for the same strategy with Oliver Knott. You already went for a lot of overtakes in lap 1, 2, and then you were very quickly up into P4. How did the early race at least, go for you? Because you seemed to go through quite smoothly early on.
Yeah, at the start I was quite battling a bit with Mui and lost a bit of time, but was okay. And then the safety car came. I don't know what happened at the back. Something with Kevin, I think. I don't know.
No, it was Michelino. And then Kevin just got
Yeah, it was
killed.
Kevin for the safety car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then safety car was quite random on lap 1, but yeah. Then gone for some moves and yeah, was good.
And then after the safety car, just to go back to the final few laps, what must have been going through your mind there, Dennis?
The last few laps?
Yeah.
Yeah. Firstly, the main quest was to go over Mr. Pike, so that was the main quest. So to get not killed. I don't know if you guys saw it, where he was moving on the straights. You couldn't overtake him. I got pushed off 2 times from an off track. Then Oliver gets through, and yeah, it was quite intensive battle there. I nearly get kicked out, and yeah, managed to overtake him. And then a little bit ERS management, and yeah, got in front of Leonard, but all of this because of Mr. Pike. It was clean racing and was very fun this time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think all things considered throughout the season, I mean, what a season you've had, Dennis. Only one race that you didn't finish, but all the races you did finish, a minimum of P3, otherwise P2, or a race win, as we have tonight. You have had a season to remember.
Yes, of course, it was a very nice season. We have at least one race left in Brazil, what will be very nice. I hope also for clean racing against Oliver. Makes much fun to battle with him, and yeah, pace will also seems quite good in Brazil. So yeah, we will keep moving forward.
Yeah, and it seems like with this championship, it's very likely that next season we're going to see you in Tier 3. What are your thoughts on Tier 3?
Yeah, T3 is quite good on pace. I think it's so very good drivers, and I think they also get promoted to Tier 2, so I don't know what the lineup will be, but it will be competitive, and yeah, we will see what we can do.
Sounds good, sounds good. Then moving over to Juve, are there any questions that you have for our champion?
Not really. I mean, how do you manage to always come back in the race? Like, it doesn't matter where you start. You always finish at least on the podium.
I don't know.
P9 in quali, you're in P3 by lap 3. How does that happen?
I don't know. I think I have just quite good pace in the race, and I have going for good strategies and get the overtakes in there, and yeah, also quite confident every time in the race. As usually quali is not that good for me, but in the race matters. In the race you get points, so yeah.
Yeah, a champion's drive today, and definitely exciting to see you next season in Tier 3.
Thank you very much.
Alright, so that will round off all the interviews for tonight and all the action that we've seen throughout this season. What
Can
a
I-
season so far it's been. Yeah, Dennis, of course.
I have a little bit of words for you guys because you guys doing it every time so good, and just want to say you guys doing it very well and just keep going like it. Very nice to watch it.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Alright,
Cheers.
and on that lovely note, we're going to end it for tonight as well. Next week, the season's finale will commence at Interlagos in Brazil, where Dennis can have his champion drive, knowing he's already the champion, and just having one more race to enjoy it. For us, also in the commentary box, one more race to enjoy it all the way through, with perhaps some new drivers on the podiums. For me, that's all that I have to say. Zivardar, anything from you?
Nothing much.
Alright, then on that note, we're going to end it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to now tune in with the higher tiers that are currently still racing. And for us, we have our champion decided, but we still have some great racing coming up next week. And definitely don't miss out our Stewart reports either when we head to Brazil next week. See you all then, and have a good one. Good night.
Good night.